Hi, Bryte Church. Thanks for joining us for another devotional. Hopefully, if you read the title, you realize, oh, it's a strange title. So I wanted to see if we could get into some trouble here and obviously apply the things that are going on in our lives today. This kind of started this devotional with me and my wife talking about moving. And as obviously you've noticed, a lot of people are moving out of state, moving different neighborhoods to different churches. A lot of things happening, and clearly a lot of people are also having this conversation. I mean, last year alone, 10 million people moved out of California. So, with the new rules, with the prices all over the place, people are considering moving. And what's interesting is there's a situation like this in the Bible as well. In Psalm 55, David has had a great church and a great relationship with his people. But then someone left and then someone betrayed him, and now his church is no longer the support that he thought it was. And there's enemies out in the city trying to get him, and David is in this real place of anxiety, and he's crying out to God, and he literally says in Psalm 55, he says, I want to run away. I want to escape this. I'm overwhelmed and I don't know what to do. And he finishes this psalm with the two verses that I want to focus on today. And that's verse 22 and 23 of Psalm 55. And it says, cast your burden on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never permit the righteous to be moved. And then 23, but you, O God, will cast them down into the pit of destruction. Men of blood and treachery shall not live out half their days, but I will trust in you. An amazing passage of an end to a psalm that is talking about anxiety and uncertainty. Casting our burden on God. He's saying, God, I can't do this. I'm overwhelmed by this. My enemies are after me. I don't know what to do. I want to give this over to you. And he says, God will sustain you. God will not take away the anxiety, but he will give you the strength, and he will sustain you. Cast your burden on the Lord, and he will sustain you. The question is, what are we worried about? What are we losing sleep over? And are we giving it God to carry when we can't do it by ourselves? And the second section of this is, he will never permit the righteous to be moved. And this goes back to my original thought. And as I was getting ready for this and reading over this and reading commentaries on it, I thought, what a strange word to use. He will never move. And digging into this, the idea of moving is fleeing. And moving typically equals moving from fear, moving somewhere. If you get scared, you move out of the way. If someone's coming at you fast, or someone wants to pick a fight who's way bigger than you, you move backwards. And what he's trying to say is, if I'm moving out of fear, I don't want to move. And the idea or the question for us is, if we're considering moving, or if we're talking and having the conversation with our family about moving somewhere else, moving churches, moving ministries, moving jobs, neighborhoods, what is driving the move? What is causing us to move? Is it the fear of the unknown? Is it the fear of the prices that might increase? Is it the fear of the rules and regulations that might come upon the place that where we live at currently? And I'm not talking about if God is calling you somewhere and he says, hey, I want you to move away from this and go into a different field, go into a different city, start a ministry somewhere else. I'm talking to the people who are anxious, running from one neighborhood to another, one state to another, one church to another. Where are you moving, and why are you moving? That's what David is looking at. He's finishing the psalm saying, but you, God, will cast them down, the enemies. You will destroy them and won't even let them live half their days. And he ends, but I will trust you. What an amazing end to a psalm filled with anxiety. David was anxious, but he ends that he didn't want fear to move him. He wanted God to move him. Is God calling you to move, or are you moving out of fear? And David ends focusing on God, not on his issues or problems. So I hope this encourages you to think about what is causing the movement or the decisions that you may or may not be making. And God bless you guys, and hope this encourages you.